Well, not the second part of the book, but it is second part of this video or video live or whatever it is. So it is page number 49, and yep, let's get started. What will be the highlight of your day? That's a good question. We want you to begin each day by thinking about what you hope will be the bright spot. If at the end of the day someone asks you what was the highlight of your day, what do you want your answer to be? When you look back on your day, what activity or accomplishment or moment do you want to savor? That's your highlight. Your highlight is not the only thing you'll do each day, but after all, most of us can't ignore our inboxes or say no to our bosses, but choosing a highlight gives you a chance to be proactive about how you spend your time instead of letting technology, office, defaults, and other people set your agenda. And although busy bandwagon says you should try to be as productive as possible each day, we know it's better to focus on your priorities, even if that means you don't get to everything on your to-do list. Your highlight gives you each day a focal point. Research shows that the way you experience your days in is not determined primarily by what happens to you. In fact, you create your own reality by choosing what you pay attention to. This might seem obvious, but we think it's a big deal. You can redesign your time by choosing where to direct your attention, and your daily highlight is the target of that attention. Sunrise, get to work, meetings, lunch, finish presentation, catch up on email, sunset. Focusing on a daily highlight stops the tug of war between infinity pool distractions and the demands of the busy bandwagon. It reveals a third part, being intentional and focused about how you spend your time. Three ways to pick your highlight. Choosing your daily highlight starts with asking yourself a question. What do I want to be with the highlight of my day? Answering this question isn't always easy, especially when you're just beginning to use make time. Sometimes you've got many important tasks, but maybe there's one you're super excited about. Maybe bake birthday cake, one with a looming deadline, finished like that, or even a nasty job hanging over your head with rat traps in a garage. So how should you decide? We use three different criteria to choose our highlight. Urgency. The first strategy is about urgency. What's the ના તો બુક વાંચું Yeah. ના ના મંડે લાસ્ટ ડે પણ આજે મેગન મને પૂછતી હતી કે લાઈક જે એજન્સી મને મોકલેલું છે એ ડુ આઈ ગેટ લાઈક ના ના એમ ખબર નહીં શું પૂછતી હતી પણ એમ પૂછતી હતી કે do you get many temporary jobs or something like that? બધાને કેવું લાગે છે ને આમ તેમ તો મને લાગે છે કે પૂછે લાગશે કશું કે મૂકવા માટે આમ તેમ પાર્ટ ફૂલ ટાઈમ તો નહીં કરી શકે યા તો પાર્ટ ટાઈમ મે બી આઈ થિંક એવું વિચારતી હશે વાતોથી એવું લાગતું એવું એવું છે બહુ જ ઇશ્યુઝ છે લાઈક ગઈકાલે મારે એને કેટલી બધી વાર મારે એને રિમાઇન્ડ કરાવવું પડ્યું કે મારે જે કામ હતું એના માટે બટ નો બડી લાઇક્સ સો હવે જો તારી ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ હોય ને તો તું સબમિટ નહીં કરી શકું કે ઇફ દેર ઇઝ એની પાર્ટ ટાઈમ અવેલેબિલિટી એન્ડ વેન યુ લુક બિકોઝ લાઈક લિટરલી ઇટ્સ સો વાઇડ વેન તું રીતના કામ કરી શકે
રાઈટ.
અને હું જે બી પે જે બી હોય એ બધું ને પછી પાર્ટ ટાઈમ પછી અગર તારે પછી બીજું કન્ટિન્યુ કરવું હોય તો બિકોઝ જે રિજનલ રિસેપ્શનિસ્ટ છે ને એરિકા એને બીજી એક પોઝિશન માટે લોકો વિચારી રહ્યા છે.
ઓકે.
સો રિસેપ્શનિસ્ટની પોઝિશન થશે.
ઓકે.
તારે હજુ કેટલું ટાઈમ બાકી છે ભણવામાં?
તો વર્ષ બાકી છે.
હા તો પછી તો લાઈક સારું એવું તને લાઈક મમ્મી પણની તારી રીતના તો તમે ભણવી શકે તારે જે
રાઈટ.
કરવું
હા,
હોય
એ જ વિચારતો હતો કે મારું મંડે અને વેડનસડે અને ફ્રાઈડે અને સેટરડે ઓપન હોય છે.
લાઈક નથી હોતા.
કશું જ નહીં હોતું. તો હું
વર્ક્સ રિયલી વેલ ફોર યુ. ત્યાં
એમ
હોમ ડિપોમાં લોકો જોડે માથા ખાવા અને
યા
અહીંયા ક્વાયટ હોય તું તારું હોમવર્ક છે કે તારું જે તારું
યા
કામ હોય તું કરી શકો.
પણ એક પ્રોબ્લેમ છે કેમ કે મેં જે એજન્સી થ્રુ આવ્યો છું ને તો હું ડાયરેક્ટલી અહીંયાની વાત કરી શકું.
ઓકે.
કોન્ટ્રાક્ટમાં છે. કેમ કે પછી એમનો ક્લાયન્ટ હું જતો રહીશ ને આમની પાસે તો મે બી જે પણ
સો એવું
થશે
તું વાત ના કરી શકો એવું.
નહીં વાત નહીં કરી શકું એટલે હું ડાયરેક્ટલી અહીં એટલે આ લોકો મને ડાયરેક્ટલી અપ્રોચ અને હાયર નહીં કરી શકતા.
બટ વોટ ઇફ કે સપોઝ તારું ટેમ્પરરી અહીંયા હોતે
હમ
લાઈક જે મંડેના છે રાઈટ પછી 1 વીક પછી લાઈક યુ આર આઈ નો કે તું એ ટેમ્પરરી સ્ટાફિંગ કંપની જોડે અટેચ છું બટ
યા
લાઈક લેટ્સ સે કે તું હોમ ડિપોમાં છું અને લાઈક પછી તો એક ઇન્ડિવિજ્યુઅલ છે ને પછી તો ડિરેક્ટલી એઝ અ પર્સન તને લોકો રીચ આઉટ કરી જ શકે ને
પણ
બિકોઝ
એવું
દે નો યુ
હમ
ભલે તે અહીંયા વર્ક કર્યું છે
હમ
આઈ ડોન્ટ નો એ લોકોની પોલિસી ને બધું શું છે.
એવું જ છે કશું કે જો એ ડાયરેક્ટલી મને રીચ આઉટ નહીં કરી શકે કે હું એમને રીચ આઉટ નહીં કરી શકું. યા કેમ કે ઓલરેડી એ લોકોએ મને મોકલ્યું.
હા પણ તારું વર્ક અહીંયા જે લોકોને
હમ
ગમ્યું હોય અને
પણ કે
તું
ભાઈ
અહીંયા
એ
સેટ
કશું
થતો
કમિશન
હોય
આપતા આપશે ને
તો અહીંયા જો સેટ થતો હોય તો પછી
સો એ મને અહીંયા હાયર
સો
કરશે.
અત્યારે પે તને કોણ કરે છે ડિલિવરી કે
એ
કંપની
કંપની કરે છે તો કશું કમિશન તો આવતું જ હશે આમ તેમ તો એ લોંગ ટર્મ કમિશન જતું રહેશે ને અગર જો હું ડાયરેક્ટલી અપ્રોચ કરી લઉં અહીંયા.
બટ કંઈક ને કંઈક રસ્તો તો હોવો જોઈએ.
ઇધર આઈ હેવ ટુ લીવ
Because-
દેટ એક્સપ્રેસ એમ્પ્લોય લાઈક જે પણ છે.
કંઈક ને કંઈક રસ્તો તો હોવો જોઈએ અને કારણ કે હજુ તારું વર્ષનું બધું ભણવાનું બાકી છે
Yeah.
તો ડેફિનેટલી કહું કે ભાઈ
Yeah,
આના જેવી
yeah.
શાંત જોબ
Yeah,
સ્ટુડન્ટ
yeah.
લાઈફમાં તો બિલકુલ નથી.
Yeah.
મને ખબર છે મેં હોમ ડિપોમાં હતી ફાર્મ બોયમાંથી મગજનું હેડેક થઈ જતું હતું બરાબર.
રાઈટ
So,
જોઈએ બાકી બપ્પાની ઈચ્છા હોય તો થઈ જશે.
યા સો લિંક્ડઇન પર તો જ મને મારો નંબર તને ઇન કેસ કંઈ બી કામ હોય
Okay, yeah, yeah.
હું નથી આપતી.
So, yes, where were we? Urgency. The first priority is all about urgency. What's the most pressing thing I have to do today? Have you ever spent hours churning through email and attending meetings only to realize at the end of the day that you failed to make time for one thing you really need to do? Well, we have lots of times, and whenever it happens, we feel miserable. Oh, the regret. If you have something that absolutely positively must be accomplished today, make it your highlight. If you have something that absolutely positively must be accomplished today, make it your highlight. You often can find urgent highlights on your to-do list, email, or calendar. Look for projects that are time sensitive, important, and medium sized. In other words, they don't take 10 minutes but don't take 10 hours either. Your urgent highlight might be one of the following. Create a price quote and send it to consumers who's expecting it before the end of the week. Request catering and venue proposals for an event you're organizing at work. Prepare and cook dinner before friends come over. Help your daughter finish a big school project that's due tomorrow. Edit and share vacation photos that your family is eager to see. Satisfaction. The second highlight strategy is to think about satisfaction. At the end of the day, which highlight will bring me the most satisfaction? Whereas the first strategy is all about what needs to be done. This strategy encourages you to focus on what you want to get done. Again, you can start with your to-do list, but instead of thinking about deadlines and priorities, take a different approach. Think about the sense of accomplishment logged inside each potential highlight. Look for activities that are not urgent. Instead, consider projects you have been meaning to get around to but haven't quite found the time. Maybe you have a particular skill you want to put to use, or maybe it's a pet project that you want to develop before sharing it with the world. These projects are super vulnerable to procrastination because although they are important, they are not time sensitive, and that makes them easy to postpone. Use your highlight to break the someday cycle. Here are some examples of satisfying highlight. Finish the proposal for a new work project you are excited about and share it with a few trusted colleagues. Research destinations for your next family vacation. Draft 1,500 words of the next chapter in your novel. Joy. The third strategy focuses on joy. When I reflect on today, what will be what will bring me the most joy? Not every hour has to be optimized and orchestrated for maximum efficiency. One of our goals with Make Time is to steer you away from the impossible vision of perfectly planned days and towards a life that's more joyful and less reactive. That means doing some things just because you like doing them. To other people, some of your joyful highlights may look like wastes of time. Sitting at home, reading a book, meeting a friend, to play frisbee in the park, even doing a crossword puzzle. Not to us. Your only waste of time if you're not intentional about how you spend it. All sorts of highlights can bring you joy. Here are some examples. Going to your friend's housewarming party, mastering a new song on the guitar, having a fun lunch with your hilarious coworker, and taking your kid to the playground. Trust your gut to choose the best highlight. So these three highlight strategy, choosing a great highlight strategy is first based on the urgency. What's the most pressing thing do I have to do today? Second might be satisfaction. At the end of the day, which highlight will bring me the most satisfaction? And the third strategy focuses on joy. Like when I reflect on the day, what will bring me the most joy? So trust your gut to choose the best highlight. Which strategy should you use on any particular day? We think the best way to choose highlights is to trust your own gut to decide whether an urgent, joyful, or satisfying highlight is best for the day. So, a good rule of thumb is to choose a highlight that takes 60 to 90 minutes. If you spend less than 60 minutes, you might not have time to get in the zone, right? It should be 60 to 90 minutes. Well, but after 90 minutes of focused attention, most people need a break. 60 to 90 is a sweet spot. It's enough time to do anything or something meaningful, and it's a reasonable amount of time to create in your schedule. With the tactics in this chapter throughout the book, we are confident you can make 60 to 90 minutes of your highlight. When you're starting out, choosing a highlight may feel strange or difficult. If this happens to you, don't worry. It's perfectly natural. Over time, you'll get the hang of it and choosing will become easier and easier. Remember, you really can't screw it up. And because Make Time is a daily system, no matter what happens, you can always tweak your approach and try again tomorrow. Of course, your highlight isn't magical. Deciding where to focus your energy or any particular day isn't going to make it happen automatically. But being intentional is an essential step towards making more time in your life. Choosing a highlight makes focusing on your priorities the default. So you can spend time and energy on what matters, not on reacting to the distractions and demands of modern life. Jake, it's never too late in the day to choose or change your highlight. Recently, I had a busy, lousy day. In the morning, I planned to make my highlight editing 100 pages of the make time manuscript, but all day long I was randomized by everything, doing a plumbing problem or to a pounding headache to unexpected dinner guest. In the afternoon, I realized I could change my highlight and my attitude. I decided to scrap my editing goal for the day and instead focus on enjoying the dinner with friends. When I made that choice, my whole day turned around and I could go and enjoy. After losing those winter months in 2008, Jay-Z didn't have a flash of the inspiration that led him to the idea of a highlight. But his observation that daily satisfaction comes from a medium-sized highlight rather than any tiny task or lofty goal planted that seed that grew into its philosophy we used to plan our days. Now, we both select a highlight every day and have come up with a bunch of tactics that help us turn our intentions into actions. Some are everyday things, such as scheduling your highlight, and others are occasional, like stringing together multiple daily highlights into a sort of personal sprint. To the next time section of the collection of tactics for choosing a highlight and making time for it in your day. As you read the tactics on the following pages, remember the mantra: pick, test, repeat. Pick, test, repeat. Make a note of the tactics that sound helpful, fun, and a little challenging. If you are just starting in make time, focus on one highlight tactic at a time. If it works, keep it in your routine. If you need additional help choosing and making time for your highlight, come back and add another tactic you want to try. Now let's start highlighting the people, project, and the work that matters most to you. Highlight tactics: choosing your highlight. Write it down, groundhog it, or do yesterday again. Stack, rank your life, batch the little stuff, do the might do list, the burner list, run a personal sprint. So these are the few of the highlight tactics we can choose upon. So first it comes with write it down. Yes, we know this sounds obvious, but there is a special, almost magical power to writing down your plans. The things you write down are more likely to happen. If you want to make time for your highlights, start by writing it down. Write it down. That's a perfect strategy, I believe. Make writing down your highlight a simple daily ritual. You can do it at any time, but the evening, before bed, and the morning work best for the most people. Jay-Z likes to think about tomorrow's highlight as he's winding down in the evening. Jake chooses his highlight in the morning, sometime between eating breakfast and starting work. Where should you record your highlight? You have got plenty of options. There are apps. Check our recommendations at maketimebook.com that will remind you to write it down every day. You can put your highlight on your calendar as an all-day event. You can jot it down in a notebook, but if you had to pick one method for writing it down for a highlight, we'd choose sticky notes. They are easy to use, easy to get, and they don't require batteries or software updates. You can write down your highlight and never look at it again, or you can stick it to your laptop, fridge, phone, or desk as a persistent but gentle reminder of the one big thing you want to make time for today. Second should be a groundhog method, or do yesterday again. Not sure what to choose for your highlight? Just like Bill Murray in the movie Groundhog Day, you can do yesterday again. There are lots of great reasons to repeat your highlights. If you don't get your highlight, it's probably still important. Repeat for a second chance. If you started your highlight but didn't finish it, or if your highlight was part of a bigger project, today is the perfect day to make progress or start a personal sprint. Repeat, though, repeat to build momentum. If you start your highlight but didn't finish it, or if your highlight was a part of a bigger project, today is the perfect day to make progress or start a personal sprint. Repeat to build momentum. If you're establishing a new skill or routine, you'll need a repetition to cement the behavior. Repeat to create a habit. If yesterday's highlight brought you joy or satisfaction, hey, there's nothing wrong with more than that. Repeat to keep the good times rolling. You don't have to reinvent yourself each day. Once you have identified something that's important to you, focusing on it day after day will help it take root in your life, grow and flourish. Sounds cheesy, but it's true. Stack, rank your life. If you're feeling stuck choosing a highlight, or if you're feeling a conflict between competing priorities in your life, try this recipe for ranking your big priorities. Ingredients: one pen, a piece of paper, or the Notes app on your phone. Make a list of the big things that matter in your life. We don't just mean at work. This list can include friends or family or parenting. It can include your significant other, or if you're in the market for a significant other, dating. Oh, we don't just mean at work. List can include friends or family or parenting. It can include your significant other, or if you are in the market for a significant other, dating. You might list hobbies. Hobbies. You might list hobbies. Soccer, painting, alongside work. Your big things can be as broad as work or as specific as get promoted or a polo project. Other categories to consider are health, finances, and personal growth. Include only big stuff and try to use one or two word titles. That keeps the list this keeps the list a little high level. This keeps the list keeps the list high level. Don't prioritize the list yet. Just write it. List 3 to 10 things. Then choose the one most important thing. This is easier said than done, but you can do it. Here are some tips. Consider what's most meaningful to you, not what is most urgent. Think about what needs the most effort or work. For example, exercise might be very important, but if you already have a strong habit in place, you might shift your focus elsewhere. Follow your heart. For example, you might think you should put work ahead of fiddle lessons, but you really wish you could make the fiddle your top priority. Well, do it. Don't sweat it. This list isn't yet. This list isn't set in stone. You can always make uh, a new stack rank next month, next week, tomorrow, or even later this afternoon. Once you have chosen the most important thing, choose the second, third, fourth, and fifth most important things. Rewrite the list in order of priority. Draw a circle around number one. If you want to make progress on your number one priority, you'll need to make it focus whenever possible. Drawing the circle reinforces this prioritization. There's something symbolic about putting your decision in the ink. Use this list to help you choose highlights. Keep the list around to remind yourself of your one highest priority and to break ties between two activities when you are not sure how to spend your effort. Jake. I'll share a couple of my own lists, first from August 2017. 2017. Family, write, make time, make novel, advising the workshops. 1 month later in September, I reshuffled my list. Make time, family, advising and workshops, write novel. Yes, I demoted my family to number 2, and what a jerk. But I knew I had to put the pedal to the medal on midterm so that we can finish the manuscript before Jay-Z left town to sail to Mexico in October. And my family was in a good spot. My kids were back in school after summer, in which we did a bunch of projects, traveled together. Oh my god. And we had good defaults in place for spending time together. Shifting family to number two didn't mean ignoring them. It just meant being honest with myself about where I most needed to focus. Batch the little stuff. You can be tough focus on your highlight when you know there are dozens of non-highlight tasks piling up. We have the same problem. In fact, Jay-Z's highlight today is to finish a draft of this tactic. But at some point this week, he also has to catch up on an email. He got behind while traveling the last week and return a few phone calls. Fortunately, we have a solution. Bundle up the small tasks and use batch processing to get them all done in one highlight session. In other words, make a batch of small things your big things. For one example, one day this week, Jay-Z's highlight will be catch up on email or return phone calls. These small tasks may not sound like highlight material. No one wishes they could make time for email, but there's a surprising satisfaction that comes from catching up. And when you catch up all at once, instead of constantly trying to keep your inbox or to do list empty, you supercharge the feeling of satisfaction. Just do it, don't do it every day. This is a this is a once in a while tactic, a way of dealing with the necessary chores, tasks that otherwise invade our days. You'll realize the real power of this tactic on the days you don't use it. Knowing you can safely ignore small, non-urgent tasks, letting them pile up while you focus on your highlight. After all, with the batching, the little stuff, you can have a plan of for catching up. Now I'm feeling hungry. Here we take a short break. Remember, not all tactics work for all people, and that goes for the two of us. Remember, sometimes we disagree on whether a tactic really worked. Do I have more energy because I took caffeine nap? Or just because I took a nap? Sometimes we have very different objective results. But rather than water down our opinions, when we disagree, we'll present our conflicting advice head to head so that you can experiment and decide for yourself where you stand. Here's one thing we do agree on. We hate to-do lists. Right, we do hate to-do lists. Checking off finished task feels good, but the fleeting glow of accomplishment makes an ugly truth. Most to-dos are just reaction to other people's priorities, not yours. And no matter how many tasks you finish, you're never done. More to-dos are always waiting you to take their place. To-do lists just perpetuate the feeling of unfinishedness, what that dog's modern life. To-do list can also to-do list can also obscure what's really important. We are all susceptible to choosing the path of least resistance, especially when we are tired, stressed, overwhelmed, or just plain busy. To do lists make it work because they mix easy tasks with hard but important ones. When you choose use a to-do list, you are tempting yourself to put off those important tasks and knock off one of the easy items instead. But to-do lists aren't all bad. They let you capture things you don't have to hold them in your brain. To-do list lets you see everything in one place. They are a necessary evil. So as much as we dislike to-do lists, we have to use them. Over the years, we have both developed our own special to do list techniques. Naturally, each of us thinks his solution is the best, so we'll let you decide. The might do list. Jay-Z. My solution to the do list problem is to separate the decision about what to do from the act of doing it. I call my approach the might do list. It's exactly what it sounds like, a list of things you might do. Project it on your might do list until you decide to make them your highlight and schedule them on your calendar. Here's how the pieces fit together. My to-do list, highlight, calendar. What you could do, what matters most, and what's your plan. What matters and what's your plan. You're especially vulnerable to path of least resistance. Thinking when you don't plan. But when you take an important task off your my-to-do list, make it your daily highlight and put it on your calendar. You'll know made a thoughtful decision about how to spend your time, and you can pour your energy into the task at hand. A my-do list can help you avoid to-do list treadmill at the office or on personal projects. In 2012, my wife and I bought our first sailboat together. Each time in 2016, we sold this boat and bought a different one. Each time we were taking on not just a boat but a big project. There were literally hundreds of to dos required to get this boat ready. From the trivial install towel hooks to the intense sterilize the plumbing so it's safe for drinking water. If we had worked directly from our to do list, we would have been overwhelmed. Instead, we used the My To Do list to help us stay organized and sane and ensure that we were making time for the important tasks rather than frittering away day after day on the easy tasks. Here's how it worked. Before a day of boat work, we'd sit down with our might do list and talk about everything we could do. We'd use the same three highlight criteria urgency, satisfaction, and joy to select the work that was important to today. Then we'd put it on the calendar using our best guess at the time required. When the specified when the specified time rolled around, we'd show up at our boat, tools, and coffee in hand with a plan for the day. This helps us stay intentional and focused and allowed us to finish each day with a deep sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. We use the same three highlight criteria urgency, satisfaction, and joy to select the work that was important to do today. Then we'd put it on the calendar using our best guess at the time required. When the specified time rolled around, we'd show up with our boat, tools, and coffee in hand with a plan for the day. This helped us stay intentional and focused and allowed us to finish each day with a deep sense of satisfaction, accomplishment. The burners list. Hi.
Slow day. Yeah.
So where were we? I love the idea of Jay-Z's Mind Do framework, but I need something more detailed to help me choose and track the most important highlights. My method is called the burner list. It won't track every detail of every project or help you juggle a million tasks, but that's exactly the point. The burner list is intentionally limited. It forces you to acknowledge that you can't take on every project or task that comes your way. Like time and mental energy, the burners list is limited. And so it forces you to say no when you need to say and stay focused on your number one priority. Is how to make one. Divide a sheet of paper into two columns. Get out a single blank sheet of paper and create two columns by drawing a line down the middle. The left hand column is going to be your front burner, and the right hand column your back burner. Put your most important project on the front burner. Oh, second, put your most important project on the front burner. You're allowed to have one. You're allowed to have only one and only one project, activity, or objective on the front burner. Not two, not three, just one. In the top left hand corner, write the name of the most important project and underline it. Then list the to dos for that top project. This should include any task you can do in the next few days to move the project forward. Leave some counter space. Leave the rest of the first column empty. It might be tempting to fill the space with every task you can think of, but the burner list is not intended to fill the paper surface areas efficiently. It's intended to make a good use of your time and energy. The blank spaces gives you room to add more tasks for the top project as they come up. But as just as important, extra visual space makes it easier to focus on the important stuff. Put your second most important project on the back burner. At the top of the right hand column, write down the name of your second most important project and underline it. Then list the related to-dos underneath. The idea is to direct your time and attention as you would if you are cooking on the stove. You naturally focus most of your attention on the front burner. Sure, you are aware of the back burner and might reach back to stir a pot or flip a cake every now and again, but the front burner is where the action is. Make a kitchen sink. Finally, about halfway down the right hand column, list any miscellaneous tasks that you need to do, but that don't fit with the project 1 and project 2. It doesn't matter if they're part of the project 3 or project 4 or are totally random. They get chucked into this kitchen sink with everything else. Front burner, back burner, and miscellaneous. The burner list won't have room for everything, and that means you'll have to let go things that aren't as important. But again, that's exactly the point. I've found that one big project, one small project, and a short list of catch-all tasks are all I can or should take one at once. If it doesn't fit on the paper, it won't fit in my life. The burner list is disposable and gets scrapped every time I cross off a few things unfinished to dos. I generally burn through a list every few days and then recreate it over and over. The act of recreating the list is important. It allows me to discard some of the unfinished tasks that no longer matter and also allows me to reconsider which projects belong onto the front and the back burners right now. Sometimes it will be a work project that gets the high priority spot, and sometimes it will be a personal project. It's okay and natural for things to shift. What's important is there can only be on the front burner project at a time. Now get cooking. Run a personal sprint. Whenever you begin a project, your brain is like computer starting up, loading relevant information, rules, and processes into your working memory. This boot up takes time, and you have to redo it and to a certain extent every time you pick up the project. This is why in our design sprints teams work on the same project for 5 days in a row. Information stays in people's working memory from day one to the next, allowing them to get deeper and deeper into challenges. As a result, we can accomplish exponentially more than we could if those same hours were spread across weeks and months. But this kind of a sprint isn't just for teams. You can run a personal sprint yourself, whether you're painting the living room, learning to juggle, or preparing a report or a new client, or you'll do better and make faster progress if you keep at it for consecutive days. Just choose the same highlight for several days in a row, breaking it up into steps for each day if you need to. Keep your mental computer running. Pick up paint samples and try them on the wall, prep full or move furniture and tape them. First coat, second coat, touch up and clean. So who's watching? Jake. I have seen this effect with my writing. The first day after a long break is hard. I may not write much of anything and I get frustrated and cranky. The second day is still slow, but I feel I'm starting to boot up. By the third day and fourth day, I'm in the zone and I do whatever I can keep the momentum. Make time for your highlight. Schedule a highlight, block your calendar, bulldoze your calendar, flake it till you make it, just say no, design your day, become a morning person. Nighttime is your highlight time. Quit when you're done. Oh fuck. Oh.
कोई कैसी है
viewer. And what are you viewing right now? There's nothing to view. Hi. How are you doing today?
Alright. I was wondering if you could talk to someone about getting a replacement.
Replacement.
Yeah.
Did you try contacting our customer service number?
No, but
Okay.
I figured if I came here,
Okay.
I
All
probably
right.
need to show you.
Um, do you know which designer we're working with?
It was just